All right, we're on. Hey, how's everybody doing? I'm back. I'm trying to knock out as many of these as I can just to get a little bit of practice on mic for the podcast that I'm doing with Jake. And also, this has been fun. This has actually been a real good time for me. I'm enjoying doing this, just kind of sitting at home watching movies like I like to do. And even though I'm not talking to anybody specifically, yeah, it's been really nice to just kind of have a way of like watching something and then being like, hey, check this out. Then maybe someone else will watch it and then listen to what I had to say and then be like, yeah, you're full of shit or you have no idea what you're fucking talking about and give me a bunch of hate mail and call me a fucking asshole. Especially for this one. This one's gonna be confronting some interesting shit. So let's get right into it. Yeah, I'm watching the. I don't know what year this came out. I know it was kind of recently. I want to say it was 2018, 2019, sometime like that. I don't see it on the box. But, yeah, I'm watching Spike Lee's Blackkklansman with a bunch of Ks, a bunch of extra Ks in the old Blackkklansman. So, yeah, and just on the box, I could see this from producer Jordan Peele, who made Get Out and Us, and has been recently ruining my childhood with The Twilight Zone, trying to turn that into Black Mirror, which has been fucking awful. He had a really good hit sketch comedy show, Key and Peele, and then decided that all of a sudden he was going to make a horror movie, which he did pretty good. Get Out was fun. That was an interesting take on like I guess the horror genre in general is what people are saying. I found it to be a pretty entertaining movie. It was interesting that it confronted a lot of things that the horror genre does as far as like kidnapping, isolationism, body horror. Literally, no fucking qualms about spoiling shit for you. Yeah, like literally prying the brains out of black people to create fucking younger bodies as hosts to live in is fucking metal. Like that's a fun concept. But yeah, you really dropped the ball over there on Us. That was a dog shit movie. I actually got into a big fight with a girl I was dating that knew I was working on movies at the time. And she thought it would be fun to go see that. And I was just like, what the fuck was that? And she was like, really? It's like one of the most like poignant movies I've ever seen. It's like, what part about that was poignant? There's not much going on, which, as you can see, I fucking listened to both of my fucking previous pods before this, so I get to listen to myself sound like a broken record today. Yeah, there wasn't much going on in that movie. It was just basically white people are dumb, and yeah, if you can use your somewhat, I wouldn't even say shared experience, but if you can use your experience to kind of dictate what's going on around you currently, you might have a leg up in the game if shit hits the fan, which is all I really took from that. But yeah, every bit of that movie fucking is just completely nullified in my opinion, because there's a thing going on right now in cinema. And it kind of seems like movies don't have endings written into them anymore. They just kind of have a tendency to peter out. And when they peter out, that's when the fucking dance number happens. So yeah, that or spoken word rap poetry, a la Blind Spotting, which I've used that exact phrase before online too. That was a terrible fucking movie. Or actually, that was a really cool premise that they just never followed through with, and it just falls apart. So that's the production team that we have here. We have the infamous Spike Lee directing a movie. I don't know anything about this other than what I can see on the box. It would appear that somebody goes and infiltrates the KKK, and under their robe, it turns out that they're a black dude. Which, yeah, cool concept. I'm actually not I'm not an outspoken fan on Spike Lee, but I do enjoy his movies. I watched Do the Right Thing in college. And that did kind of like, someone was like, oh, it's mind blowing. It's like, I wouldn't say it's mind blowing. It's kind of just like, oh, like, you kind of see shit, at least from a white perspective. I wouldn't even call myself white, Italian perspective, whatever I'm used to. Like Italians and, such are portrayed in a certain way in movies. That being said, like, think of, Marty Scorsese and Casino and like, I guess Goodfellas is a prime example. A little Francis Ford Cope with the old Godfather. You get kind of this, like, you think of Italians, you think of, like, organized crime. It's synonymous. So like the media portrayal, I guess, of black people to a certain extent was like this sort of violence in the 90s that was created from like the Rodney King riots in LA. There's a crack epidemic going on, which created a lot of violence out west and then in the cities. And Do the Right Thing kind of came at this time where it was like, yo, like this is what is happening around me, and this is like a fictionalized but like a very visceral real thing that we're experiencing. And it was enlightening. It was very enlightening. And Danny Aiello is great in that fucking movie. The drama is authentic. It's very genuine. I'm not entirely sure if there was any specific boiling point or riot in general or whatever that film was based on, but for the most part, like, it kind of seemed like you could turn that movie on and like the fucking tension was felt. And you kind of understand now, like, oh well, like, I might not be coming from the same walk of life, but at least now I have like a more worldly perspective that this is how like people digest fucking what's around them and how they want to be portrayed as, in cinema, when they have the ability to do it with their own two hands. And I've always been, really, I endorse Spike Lee for, getting out there and saying what he needs to say, doing what he needs to do. This is his moment to, captivate an audience and really try and win them over and say, like, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. This is what I've been working with my whole life. But that being said, Do the Right Thing is about where it falls flat for me. I've been more of a fan of John Singleton when it comes to black cinema. I mentioned Snowfall on the last ep, which was fun. That's a great show. I've watched a little bit more of it, and it has kind of jumped the shark in the third season, so I don't think I'll be continuing with that. But Boys in the Hood is a fucking classic. John Singleton just really understands the true grittiness of like a story that is just taking place amongst fucking chaos, and in some ways breeding it. But not to suck his dick too much, he did a good job on everything. But yeah, back to Spike Lee. Spike Lee's been pumping out garbage for about the last decade. Starting with Miracle at St. Anna, I would say that was about where I stopped like really genuinely paying attention to what he was doing. And I know he's put out probably a movie a year since then. I haven't really been keeping up on it, but Miracle at St. Anna always tickles me because he made that movie purely out of hatred for Clint Eastwood. And the fact that he never personally picked up a fucking history book, which is hilarious. He got mad because Clint Eastwood made this movie I guess two movies that are kind of complementary of each other, if not like they kind of grace each other. I forget how it coincides, but he made Flags of Our Fathers, which was about the Pacific theater from the U.S.'s perspective during World War II, and then Letters from Iwo Jima, which is from the Japanese perspective. And I'm not entirely sure if they are like supposed to coincide, but I know that they're occurring during the same invasion. And Spike Lee was so mad that there weren't any black Marines portrayed in the film that he was like, yo, Clint, what the fuck are you doing? And Clint Eastwood, being the stickler for historical accuracy that he is, was like, oh yeah, like the Marines didn't really have black regiments at that time. Like all the black people would have probably been in the army over in Europe. And if they were, naval ones, they wouldn't have been in the invasion. They would have been on the warships, probably doing like grunt work or like cooking or something. And that pissed off Spike Lee so much that he went and made Miracle at St. Anna, which was a dog shit mess of a film. And since then, it's kind of dropped off. He made The Five Bloods, which came out during lockdown, I think back in March of last year. But yeah, that was another fucking just real cool premise, but like, what the fuck? Like, it just goes on too long. And I'm already kind of dreading that this film is going to be like 2.5 hours. I'm sure that it's going to be heavy-handed with a lot of shit. Spike Lee enjoys having, like, especially one as on the nose as Blackkklansman. I'm sure there's going to be a pretty heavy racial connotation. So I thought it'd be fun to actually like confront some ideas that I'm not really too familiar with, and it's fun. Like, that's part of the film school experience, is that you get to watch shit that kind of blows your mind, or at least like attempts to get through to you in ways you weren't expecting. So, without further ado, we are going to watch Spike Lee's Blackkklansman. This one? Fuck yeah. All right. Dude, I never thought I would say this in the year 2021, but well fucking done, Spike Lee. That was a fucking really good movie. Actually, yeah, let's give it up for Spike Lee. Yeah, studio audience over here loves it. Nah, that was really good. No angle here. That was a genuinely entertaining film. I was not expecting this to be as good as it was. Every bit of it, I enjoyed, from like the characters. The writing was fucking spot. I mean, it's kind of hard to fuck something up, as hard as like I've been lamenting with the last two of these I've done, that like it kind of seems like, you know, inexperience really like drives kind of the sloppiness of modern filmmaking, and like the writing has no like passion. This was one of the most like passion laden films I've seen in a really long time, and it fucking showed. First off, like, I'm gonna just get it right out of the way. They say the N word about like 200 times in this film, so if that's a deterrent for anyone, or I know for a lot of you morbid fucks, that might be an encouragement for you. That's, you know, take that for what it's worth. It is fucking offensive. It's a pretty fucking gritty film, about which it does not disappoint with. I did not know this was a true story. I actually took the last 5 minutes to Google this guy, Ron Stallworth. Stalwart, I think his name is. But yeah, real fucking dude. You know, as I said, two things Spike Lee tends to do: heavy-handedness with the message, which it did. Not to any fucking, like, it did not overshadow the film at all. It actually set the fucking tone perfectly for what the film was, which was great. And I forget where I was going with the other one. I know that he has a tendency, as like one of his overarching motifs in his films, is that he really likes to lay down like these analogies that are done through like sports, usually basketball. That like kind of happened subtly in this one, but it wasn't like dwelled upon, which was really cool. It made everything like good and relatable. The fucking cinematography in this film too is fucking great. Like they have a couple points, which, like I said, like the heavy-handedness comes through. Specifically the scene in the very beginning where they set the stage for the black speaker that comes through. I forget the guy's name. There's a lot of names thrown around in here, none of which I recognize except like David Duke, I think, was the only one I recognized. But yeah, like there's like a black speaker that comes to speak at a college, and like they do this thing where they like set it up so that you could tell pretty much that, like, because of the trajectory of the story, that it's going to go as a juxtaposition, which Topher Grace plays David Duke, and they do, but the balance of it was like so well done. It walked a very fine fucking line of like, not like morality, but definitely like good and bad are seen as very literal things in this film. There's not much left to the imagination. The second thing I said with is embellishments too. Spike Lee likes to embellish things kind of for his own benefit. For what it's worth, the embellishments worked in this film so well that you, like, after Googling, I have no fucking problems with where he decided to take his creative liberties. Like, that was a very well done. It retained its poignancy in the message it was trying to do without coming off as, like, you know, overly heavy-handed. But yeah, like I think like the two major things are that he never actually like disclosed over the phone that to David Duke that he was a black guy. I don't think that actually happened, but the fucking photograph part was true. I can't fucking believe that. That's hilarious. Like, and this film is funny. It's witty. It's well like paced, where it takes its time. It builds this relationship too, which is a liberty from what I understand, but like, it doesn't overshadow anything. It motivates the plot. It keeps like kind of a nice A-B storyline going, where it's like the primary focus you never lose sight of that, and there's always this like looming impending doom of like, oh, is he gonna get caught? Is Adam Driver's character gonna get caught? It like, nah, it fucking knocked it out of the park. It did. I am so surprised with how well this film was made. And then like immediately after, Da 5 Bloods came out, and I was like, how the hell did, like I literally, I had to take a minute and like double check my work and be like, yeah, that was a Spike Lee film too. And they were made within like about, I guess like 18 months of each other. So like not too long. And yeah, it fell off the fucking table. But I don't know how the hell this didn't get more like publicity. This was fantastic. And like for what it's worth too, there's fucking a lot of humor in this movie that I was not expecting to enjoy. I was expecting there to be like a lot of punches at Whitey, which there were, but they were well timed. They were fucking done at like the expense of like everybody in the room, because there's like certain, there's certain setups that are followed through upon. Like I said, the balance in the beginning with the black speaker and then at the end with the David Duke speech, like, fucking one point complements the other. But there's also like in the subplot, the girl that he's pursuing is a black like college student that's trying to get the black empowerment cause out there, and she sets things up so that is balanced against him being a cop, which is like, I was not thinking that it was going to take in there, but it did. And you know what? It added this like extra layer of complexity to not only the character, but it made the story just that much more like, I guess it gave a lot more gravity to it. It made it a lot more personable, because if you didn't identify with like the overarching one, at least like everybody kind of understands like wanting to keep a relationship going as well as like your cohort safe. It was very well done. It married together nicely. Nothing felt forced or shoehorned, except save maybe the last 4 minutes, but there was it comes off of it's a punctuation mark to what would otherwise be a fucking very eloquently written and well done piece of work. Like, just bravo. Like, I'm not holding back when I say fucking well done, Spike Lee. I cannot fucking believe how much I like this movie. It was, for its entertainment value, that was well worth a free rental. If not, I would probably have red boxed this. If I had the opportunity. I have wanted to see this film for a while. I like Spike Lee. Like I said, I have no qualms about like praising his work when it excels. Like Do the Right Thing, one of my favorite movies, really was an interesting thing. And I was expecting this to be something that was like so far-fetched and so unbelievable, but like after kind of seeing where like what that was, I had to Google it and I had to find out, like, is this real? Not only is it real, the fucking white dude too, they didn't give his real name for obvious reasons. Apparently he wasn't Jewish. It was just some partner that he had named Chuck, who stayed anonymous, I guess, because Ron Living... I'm going to end up calling this guy Ron Livingston, like the dude from Office Space and Band of Brothers and shit, but it's not him. Ron Livington, I think. I'm going to have to fucking double-check myself. But yeah, Ron, let's just go with that. He wrote a book, and they were fact-checking it, and apparently he takes a picture with David Duke after being assigned his personal detail, which is fucking... There's things in this that are so unbelievably funny that, like... I had to double check, and sure enough, it's true. And it does. It excels in that department. It really does a good fucking job of making the powers of good and evil kind of not these niche things. They're very ambiguous, very like kind of complex ideas that like not only does like the main character have weighing on him, but he has to explore like where the parameters of his morality lie and what he's willing to do to kind of like I at first thought it was gonna be like, oh, get his name out there, but no, in reality, like apparently this dude really believed in what he did, and I'm fucking for that. It shows like this was a very compelling story. That being said, like I said, like there's a lot to unpack with it, but I highly recommend just watching it. And then I got like very minor nitpicks about it. They got the years, they kind of embellished the years, and they did the thing with the sports, like I said about Spike Lee, where they're like talking about O.J. Simpson being like a black hero of Adam Driver's character, which is like I had to like kind of pause and like take a moment and be like, they're like this has been pretty serious up till this point, but they're like fucking with us, right? And then the prank calls started happening, and I was like, okay, this is getting like, it's funny. There's like some levity, like, bringing a little like humanity to the situation, which is like very screwed up. Like when like looking at it on paper, it's like black dude like has to infiltrate the fucking Klan. Like, well, he should get his head checked out. But like the chaos is like matched with further chaos, and like there's a lot of humor in that, and it's fucking it translates so well. It hits you on a juvenile sense, but it also like helps kind of break down the barriers and like create like it forms these bonds. So like the police work was benefiting from it, but like at the same time it just it comes across as like cheeky and juvenile, but it's like, holy shit, that worked. Like, fucking keep at it. Like, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed almost everything about this. Like I said, save the last 4 minutes where they had to fucking shoehorn that Trump shit in there. But like, and like, I guess there is a few utterances throughout there. They have like the big town hall meeting with David Duke, and you can hear, I have to watch with the subtitles on because I'm like half deaf already and going blind. So, you know, I gotta, you know, do what I can to try and fucking make these things as I can absorb as much as I can. I've heard a couple of instances where they're like, yeah, we're gonna make America great again, which, like, you know, I get it. That's a buzzword, you know, or like a buzz phrase or whatever, and it's supposed to kind of like weed out the people that may have been laughing a little too hard at the N-words, because I know that there are people that are like, oh yeah, Spike Lee made this, like, he's gonna use the N-word that way, like, fucking, I'm gonna laugh at that. But like, there's times where he's just like, it's used in like the most like inappropriate or appropriate ways, but it gets the point across. It never feels like it's punching down. It never feels like this film is demeaning. It like, it's where Spike Lee honestly does excel as a filmmaker. He is drawing from this pool of experience, and it was like, it thoroughly shows that this guy had an idea of what he wanted to do as far as, you know, his line of, you know, work. And he thought that, like, instead of trying to like pretend he was a fucking superhero or something, he actually went out there and fucking did it. And there's also like these really good throwbacks to like all the, like, he's trying to like hit on this fucking, you know, like black empowerment, you know, very laden chick that he doesn't really connect to because he's got to hide the, like, disguise the fact that he's a cop. So he's just like, oh yeah, like, I love Shaft. And I'm like, fuck, that's like the one tell that you got right there. Like, but everybody at the same time, Shaft fucking rules. Except that I never, maybe I'll put it on a later episode. I haven't seen it, but I know Samuel L. Jackson made a fucking Shaft remake like 2 years ago. Maybe a little longer than that, but I was excited to see that, and then I completely whiffed on that and ended up watching the Rudy Ray Moore movie that Netflix released. I Am Dolomite, or Dolomite Is My Name. I forget which one's the real one and which one's the Eddie Murphy one, but that's another fucking fantastic one too if we're talking about black cinema. You know, might dabble into this a little bit further down the road, but you know, I want to keep singing praises for at least another. I got 7 more minutes before I have to wrap this bitch up. But the playing off the Shaft too. I didn't hear one Shaft theme, but they the fucking theme in this too. Whatever the band, the music's great, but the theme, it like kind of tickles you in a way where it's like, oh, like it doesn't just like I don't know where I was going with that, but this feels appropriate. I just bragged about living in a fucking trailer and how Shaft was my alarm clock to go shower at 8 o'clock at night. I'm a fucking menace. But yeah, back on topic. This was great. I really enjoyed this movie. I was I was so pleasantly surprised at how fucking good it was. It wasn't even like just, oh wow, that's a good movie. I was supremely entertained by it. Adam Driver's really fucking good. Whoever the guy that plays the captain, I feel like they were going for like Nick Offerman, but Nick Offerman is just too fucking good at what he does. Where like you wouldn't be able to take him seriously, but like they get this like dude who's just a smidge more serious than like Rip Torn. Like he has like that same kind of like grovelly, like fucking talking through a clenched jaw, like from his gut mannerism, and like I like the whole cop force, including the guy that they bust at the end, which like there's these moments in this film that are just so fucking funny, like the end, that before it cuts to the, you know, the heavy-handed fucking riot footage, like before that there's like this part where they bust a cop, like a beat cop that pulled over the guy's girlfriend, and like, I mean, that probably didn't happen. Like a couple of the things they reference, a few things that did happen, which is pretty cool. Like you know, not like saying that they're like responsible for it or like played a thing, but like they reference like real events. So it's not just like, oh, Spike Lee's talking out of his ass, like Miracle at St. Anna, where you're like, this clearly did not fucking happen this way. This was like actually like, no, this is something that happened. It created like, it helped like create the sense of paranoia that the characters were feeling on both ends. Like like I keep saying, it's a very balanced movie, and the paranoia that you know, the Black power fellas feel is justified because they know now like that there's, you know, a wanton hurt on them, like people are actively going for them, and then it's like reinforced by the cop character, but he can't tell them, and it's like so complex, but in like a cool way where you want like it all kind of comes together in a nice neat little package, which, you know, probably didn't happen the way it went down, but like it's still it works, and it's as fictitious as it needs to be to make it functional. And what this boils down to, because I'm running out of time here, is that I like these movies because it challenged me. Like, I wasn't expecting to like this. I was expecting this to be like, oh, like, let's just fucking laugh at Whitey and, you know, like show how dumb David Duke is, which, it, you know, its own respect is entertaining in reality. Like, yeah, like if this is something that this guy actually fell for, he's a fucking moron, and there's a reason that we should laugh at him. There's nothing wrong with that. But like, this was something that was so relatable and so enlightening. Like, I was very, very, very satisfied. And it's kind of why I set out to do this podcast, is that like I want to watch movies that catch me off guard and like keep me guessing and like and engaged. And I really did enjoy this. I found myself grinning ear to ear. I found myself compelled to, like, you know, want to find out where the resolution with a lot of these characters were. And the one thing Spike Lee has always been great about is he makes dialogue that you can, like, him having a black guy explain to a white guy how to do an impression of a black guy that speaks like a white guy. Like, that is like, holy fucking shit. It's so fucking good. It's so funny. And like, and that's the effect too. It's not like I don't feel like I'm like laughing or like pointing it and trying to like connect something that's disconnected. Like, no, it's done for that effect, and I enjoyed it so much. So yeah, check it out, Blackkklansman. I got it on DVD. You could probably find it on Prime. I'm not sure where, but yeah, if you can get your hands on a copy of this shit, check it out. It is well worth the watch. And thank you for your time.